for years, I worked myself sun up till sundown. I always prided myself on my ability to grind it out. That was the badge of honor. It was the blue collar. I lived it. I could outwork anybody. And this was all basically just an excuse for being behind the eight ball, whether it's behind financially, behind on the job schedule wise. I hadn't priced the job correctly. It was just foolish of me, because had I understood my numbers, had I understood my business, had I been marketing to the correct customer, I would have had enough wherewithal to realize, hey, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't line up. You cannot continue down this path. Your business is not a sustainable model. Your business is not making money. At the end of the day, this is something that you cannot do. What's up, everyone? Having a good week? I am back with another episode of Midweek Modern Craftsman. Hopefully you guys and girls have been enjoying these. I've been getting back into them. What I've recently been doing, and I'll get into some other more lighthearted conversations as well, but I've had a fair amount of consulting calls prior to these midweek recordings where it's like, damn, I need to talk about this. I need to talk about this. This is a common theme. So I've been using a lot of those calls as inspiration for the midweek topics. So I know a lot of you listen for the business end of things, right? The perspective that I give as a smaller company, more of an owner operator. And how I structure my lifestyle, my business around that, the marketing behind it, the pricing behind it, everything with regard to this small owner operator type setup, which most of us in our industry are. Where most of our industry is made up of small owner operators, 1 to 5 man shows, and that's just typical within our industry for many different reasons. But a lot of us in that area and in that world struggle to be able to provide um, a sustainable business model for ourselves, for our family, for our employees. And it's for many different reasons, but I think a lot of them are because we constantly tell ourselves that we love what we do. We love what we do. And to me, it really it ends up, we become the starving artist. And that's the title of this blog post, which is blog 71. That's insane. But it's a starving artist, and it's that mentality and that idea that you're doing what you love. You're doing it for the sake of the art of it, for the trade. That's why you got into this. And at the end of the day, you'll never be able to recoup your hours or the investment in it because you're doing it for the love of the art. Um, and I think that a lot of times prolongs where we are and the struggles that we have and our inability to progress in business or work a little bit less or charge accordingly, or capture the costs on the business side of things rather than just the tool belt costs and work that we put in place. And at the end of the day, I think that it often hinders us, and it hinders our ability to create these sustainable businesses that can run with a reasonable amount of hours and not requiring 60 hours a week out of us. Um, and I think that that starving artist mentality sometimes it allows us and enables us to continue down a road that's not the best path for us, that doesn't create sustainability and profitability and viability within our business. And I think that we need to get away from that. And that's a common theme that I speak to consulting clients about. And it's so many people lead off the conversation with like, I love what I do. I love that I get to do this every day, right? That I get to work with my hands, that I get to create something from nothing, that I get to create change my customers' lives. And yeah, that's all great. It is a really, really important part of our business, but we cannot allow that to keep us from creating a business model that's actually functioning, viable, and sustainable. And I did it for years. And I think that a lot of people who I speak to on these consulting calls are doing it. And it's, hey, like, if you love what you do, you aren't going to work a day in your life. I did love and I still love what I do, but working 16 hours a day, like, it's not about the money, but you need to be creating a business where you're compensated for the time that you've put into it. And you can't say that I'm just going to concede these hours because I love what I do, because it's not only hurting you, it's hurting everyone else in the industry. It's hurting your future, right? Where if you could get paid for those 16 hours versus not get paid for those 16 hours, only get paid for 8, you would have to be a fool to say I wouldn't want to get paid for 16 if you're doing the same amount of work. Like, even if you didn't care about money, you needed no money whatsoever, you were born into generational wealth, that money could be donated to a good cause. It could be handed to a family in need. It could be given to employees who work for you. There's no reason not to be getting compensated for your time. And again, I think that that starving artist mentality really enables us to operate businesses that really are not functional, are not sustainable, um, and require way too many hours for the pay that we get out of them. And the problem is that our industry is competitive in nature. So if 90% of the people aren't understanding their numbers and they're saying that, hey, I do this because I love it, that's who you're competing with. So now when people are going and getting pricing, it's all the people who are working twice as much as they should and getting paid 50%, 40% of what they should have. Even if it's 75% of what they should be, they're still leaving money on the table, which you, ends up hurting you now. It ends up hurting you a year from now, 5 years from now. It ends up hurting everyone in your network, the entire industry, because that's the standard that's set forth. The standard is low. It's not lucrative. It requires a ton of time. Really, a lot of investment of time and costs within the business that people aren't able to capture or aren't able to recoup. It's just expected that you do that stuff for free. And we do not have the overhead and we do not have the business model or volume to support doing anything for free, let alone the entire business end of our business for free. Um, so that's what this blog post is on. As always, if you're interested in any sort of consulting calls, it's first come, first serve. I'm doing 1 to 2 per week so that I can continue with my regular stuff, my podcast stuff. Um, Really, I'm putting it out there to be able to give people an opportunity to have a one on one call with me, be able to help them out and change their business, change their lifestyle, change their thinking to create just a better life and business for themselves, something that's a bit more sustainable with a lot less effort, which is something that I did over the course of the past few years. And I didn't even realize it was something that I needed to do because I had this artist mentality where it's like, I love what I do. Like, I love grinding it out. This is the badge of honor that I wear. This is my business. This is being blue collar. And I realized that that was just myself and my ego telling me that, like, keep up with this business, keep up with it. It doesn't make sense financially. You're not making any money. You're making pennies on the dollar. You could go work at any other job. I could go work at any retail job. I could work at Home Depot, and this isn't a knock on those people, but the rates that they're making is less than what a business owner should make for obvious reasons. I could go work for anybody and make more than what I was making running a business. So all the responsibility, all the liability, all the headache, and the amount of hours. And I just told myself it was okay because I loved it. And I didn't realize that was what I was doing until down the road when I wanted more time for myself and I couldn't. Like I physically and financially couldn't, and I realized something's wrong, something's not making sense. I need to look deeper into this and realized a lot of the mistakes that I was making. So if any of you are interested, shoot me an email, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. I can let you know what the rates are, how you get signed up. Um, Shoot me an email again. I don't necessarily have time for everyone. I'll try and make time for as many people as I can. It is first come, first serve. Usually only booking out a couple weeks in advance just to keep my plate clear and not put too much stress on my life. But if there's something you really need to talk about, I could make some time aside from my normal time slots as well. Just reach out to me, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. I've really been enjoying these calls. I enjoy everyone who reaches out to me. Um, Being able to have a conversation with all of you and help all of you and gain a ton of perspective and insight as to our industry and what needs to change and what I need to work on and how I can help other people. So the more calls I take, the more educated I become, the more well versed and more comprehensive knowledge I have of our entire industry, not just my perspective. And what we can all do to help better the industry and elevate the industry. So that has been fun. Um, One other thing that I want all of you to do is I want you to go to www.moderncraftsman, MAN, singular.co. So moderncraftsman.co. When you log on to the website, there's going to be a pop up for your free pre construction services agreement. You give us your name, give us your address. It's going to sign you up for our email list, and you will get that download for free. So go to the website. I'll post the link. Sign up for the email list. That's a huge way that you can help us and get your pre construction services agreement for free. Absolutely free. So help us out by doing that, and we will help you out in return. Again, I'll post a link. So check that out. All right, on to the blog post podcast. Even though I feel like I already dug into it. Again, if you love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life. How many of you have heard this? How many of you guys and girls have lived by these words? How many of you are allowing this sentiment to stunt your potential as a business owner? The entire starving artist mentality, and hey, I do what I love, so it's okay that I'm putting all this extra time into it. It's something that we need to get away from. We need to change our mindset. We need to change the perspective. And our industry is made up of so many people who are doing this. I was one of them. There's still days that I do it. There's still jobs when I'm trying to close them out that I'm doing it for. But for the most part, I have stopped this. Sure, you guys have heard it before, but I wound up in the hospital that I was working so much. I went into anaphylaxis or anaphylactic shock twice. Not allergic to anything, have never really been allergic to anything like that, and basically come to find out that it was stress induced. I would work so much and be so stressed out that I would deplete all of my adrenaline within my body. I would have a minor allergy to something that my body couldn't dump enough adrenaline out to fight. And so the what would be a minor allergy that my body would be able to handle 99.9% of the time, all of a sudden my body's stressed out, run down, no adrenaline left, and just working myself and grinding it out. And it would turn into a major allergy that would never generally affect me if I was rested. And it would be just like any other allergy that somebody who had a peanut allergy would eat peanuts. My throat would close up. I would go not be able to breathe, have to get carted out of my house on an ambulance, take an EpiPen. My whole body would go in hives, and then for a few days, I was just shot, absolutely shot. But like literally can die from it. My throat would fully close up. I would chew Benadryl, take EpiPen, get myself to the hospital. It happened twice pretty badly, and then a third time I noticed it was happening, and I was able to get it under control, take some Benadryl. I had my EpiPen with me in case I needed it, but try and relax and get myself through it. Um, until I settled down some. So it happened twice pretty badly. And one other time I noticed the symptoms were coming on, like the early symptoms, and I was able to get myself under control. I also was not as run down the last time that it happened as I had been prior times that it happened. So I just think generally it wasn't quite as bad. But for years I worked myself sun up till sundown. I always prided myself on my ability to grind it out. That was the badge of honor. It was the blue collar. I lived it. You know, I could outwork anybody. And this was all basically just an excuse for being behind the eight ball, whether it's behind financially, behind on the job schedule wise. I hadn't priced the job correctly. Sometimes I didn't even know what I was behind on. I just knew that I was treading water or my head was going underwater, and I had to kick to stay above it. But I wasn't quite sure why. And oddly enough, like I loved that grind. I loved the again the adrenaline that it would produce. Um the feeling that you would get by like I've been working 16 hours. I'm going to keep grinding out. I'm getting this done. I'm getting that done. I'm going on such little sleep. Like you get into the habit of doing that and your body loves it. It's like this physical chemical visceral addiction to grinding it out, and that was how I proved my worth. um but in reality it was just foolish of me, because had I understood my numbers, had I understood my business, had I been marketing to the correct customer, had I known how much time I should be allocating to a project, and push my ego aside and separate from the self, myself, I would have had enough wherewithal to realize, hey, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't line up. This doesn't match up. The numbers aren't right. You cannot continue down this path. Your business is not a sustainable model. Your business is not making money. At the end of the day, this is something that you cannot do. If I would have known that sooner, if I would have understood that, if I would have been a little less ignorant or had less blinders on, if it didn't produce such this high of working like that, that I said I'm doing it for my family, I'm doing it for my business, I'm doing it for my customers, but at the end of the day it was for me. It was something that I was like addicted to doing, for whatever reason, chemically, physically, for the reaction that I got, whatever it was. There was a reason I was doing it. It wasn't for the right reasons. If I was doing all of that stuff and I was getting the numbers, and the family was great, and I still could take time off if I needed to, and I wasn't stressed beyond belief, that's one thing. But everything else other than the high that I got from doing this was negative in my life. It just wasn't working out, but I was ignorant to that, and I had blinders on, and I kept telling myself that this is what I want to be doing. So I continued down that path, and it led to me getting sick a couple times and then realizing it's not working. Something has to change. Physically, it's not working. Financially, it's not working. Something was not checking out. Something was not lining up. So I really started digging into things. And the more I figured my own business out and I started speaking to it, and it started resonating with people, and people realizing that this is something that they're going through as well, the more that I realized that I would be able to help myself and then help other people, because you do have to help yourself first. You're no good to anyone else if you are not good. So as I've learned all of this stuff and as I've implemented this stuff and as I've spoken to other people and gotten their opinion and crafted a business and orchestrated a business and a lifestyle that suits me, and found a better market and found a better customer and understood what made me money and what didn't make me money, and really maximized my profitability and my efficiency within my business, everything has gotten substantially better. I can continue to work like I had to work if I wanted to, but I don't want to now because I'm more focused on other things in my life that are healthier, that are better for me, whether it be exercising, whether it be riding my dirt bike, whether it be helping coach softball, just spending time with my family, feeling more financially stable, putting money away, saving money, instead of just focus on keeping my head above water. There's so many other outlets that I can explore that I didn't ever have time to explore. So I didn't understand how enjoyable they could be, how rewarding they could be. And now that I'm at that point, and I still believe I have room for growth, but I've gotten to a point where it's like, I don't need to kill myself for everyone else. I don't have to put equity in other people's homes. I can understand the way that my business operates and what I can put forth and how I can max out what I'm doing to not have to kill myself working. It's just created a much better lifestyle for me, and me being able to help other people do the same thing, that's where I feel I'm going to have an impact in this world, within this industry. Obviously, the podcast, the main podcast, Instagram, all the socials, speaking, teaching, it's all great. That's where my impact and how I'm going to be able to help, I can really maximize that, because I know that I don't want to do a ton of work. I don't want to have a massive company. I still want to be able to live a good lifestyle, but I'm not going to, my impact through my own business, I'm not going to have hundreds of employees over the course of my career that can then take this and implement it into their business that they either start, or somebody else they work for, or their kids, or somebody who they know who wants to start a business. So this is where I feel my time is, the value of my time is best spent. Obviously, I still need to make money through the business. I still need to be doing these things, but this is where I can help. And I can not only help myself, I can not only make myself more money and create a better lifestyle for myself, but I can help all of you, which in turn helps the entire industry. Um, the starving artist mentality, the hey, you don't work a day in your life if you're doing what you love, that entire notion is enabling us to continue to operate businesses that are not sustainable models. It allows us to keep those blinders on. It allows us to be ignorant to our numbers and ignorant to our business and what we pay our employees and what the going rate is. And it is responsible for us constantly saying, this isn't worth that much. I can't get that much for this. Nobody's willing to pay this much. And that's because everyone is doing what we're doing. They're undervaluing their time. They're not charging for their time. So they're saying, hey, my customers aren't going to pay $100,000 for a kitchen. They're only willing to spend 60. But they're only willing to spend 60 because that's the going rate for everyone who's not valuing their time. Where if we start having people value their time more and understand that, hey, that 60 kitchen should really be 80, it should really be 100, because throughout the course of the year, I'm not capturing all of these costs throughout my business, whether it be on the back end or on the front end of the business. I'm not capturing any of these costs, and I'm giving all of that away for free. When we all start understanding that price of that kitchen goes up, it affords us a better lifestyle. It affords us to either make more money or work less. We get to make a decision. Now the customer, hey, I can sell that $100,000 job now because the going rate winds up being somewhere around 80. So now if I can sell or I can differentiate myself a little bit more, I can land the $100,000 kitchen. That's much easier to sell than the 60 that's the going rate. So by understanding your numbers, by properly charging for your back end of your business, the front end of your business, for all of the time that it takes to run your business, even as an owner operator, like you still have an overhead. There's still a business aspect of it that you need to be integrating into your numbers and charging for that. You're helping everyone else. You're not just helping yourself. You're helping every other contractor who needs to make more money, who's working for free, who's struggling through this, who is being that starving artist. If every company, every small business offered healthcare to their employees, more reasonable pay, benefits, then customers wouldn't have a choice to go to a company who didn't offer those things, who has a lower overhead because of it. If everyone was required to have company vehicles for everyone, you wouldn't be able to go to somebody who is keeping their overhead low and being more competitive by not affording those things. There's not anything wrong with that. It's just that a lot of times that's not a decision we're making because we want to make it. We're making it because our customers and the market is dictating that. And that's where I struggle. If the market were dictating something else that were benefiting us and our customers, we should all be jumping at that. But it's not. The market and what we're doing and what customers are willing to pay for is really dictating a lot of what we can do as a business. And as soon as we start combating that, and as soon as we elevate our game and we start understanding our price point and our hours and our business and what it costs to be in business and what these jobs truly should cost, um, the more that our industry is going to benefit that, the more that you're going to benefit from it now and future. Like this is not a short-sighted decision because you need to afford something in your life. This is a long-term decision to help your entire career and to help this industry. Um, and I think that we need to get away from the hey, I love it. So like it's okay because I love it. And I did that for so long. And so many people that I speak to, that's like how they lead things off. Like, I do what I love. I got into this because I love it. And I think, again, that is stunting so many of us as business owners, small business owners, especially. We don't have the volume, we don't have the overhead, we don't have the numbers that can support us giving anything away for free. There's just not that much fluff in our numbers as a small business. 10 employees in our industry, it's still all very small. There's not enough overhead to handle all of that to be able to afford us the lifestyle that we need. So we need to ensure like that we're capturing everything that we possibly can. There's not enough fluff in this industry. There's not enough wiggle room within this industry. The margins are too tight to not make your money and not get paid for all of your hours. Um, if I'm one person and I can only work 2,000 hours in a year to remain healthy, physically, mentally, financially. If I can only work 2,000 hours in a year, how much do I need to charge? What is my margin? What do I need to profit to be able to make a sustainable business and a sustainable living for me? Yeah, that's going to depend on market. Yeah, that's going to depend on the type of work that you're doing, but also there just needs to be a bare minimum as a business owner, and it can't be that construction is less lucrative than another trade. There's always people out there who need what you do, which is different than what somebody else does. So there always needs to be a minimum, and that minimum should be substantial to own a business because if you're if you're working 3,000 hours to scrape by, go do something else. Um, you are not helping yourself. you're not helping your family, and you're not helping the industry because you are devaluing your work, you're devaluing your time, you're giving away 1,000 hours for free, and that's hurting not only you, your family, your employees, your customers because you're frustrated and you don't have enough time to get to their job and you're behind schedule and you're stressed out and you're not happy. It's hurting everyone else. So if you can't do that for yourself, do it for everyone else. You need to understand, and this isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't something that even many of us understand is going on. For me, I thought the numbers were good. I was like, damn, like this rate is good. I can't get more than this rate. And it wasn't necessarily the rate that I was screwing up on. My rate was good. I'm still around the same rate now. It's the amount of time that I'm investing. Um, I'm now applying that rate across a broader spectrum. Before, that rate was only reserved for me swinging a hammer, and now that rate's getting passed off on estimating, on budgeting, on scheduling, on financials, on billing. Now that rate is being passed along to everything that I do that has respect and regard to my business. So now the rate stays the same, but I'm capturing that rate on many different levels and across many different aspects of my business that I didn't do before. And I think a lot of us don't do, but a lot of us need to start doing. So oftentimes it's not like, hey, I can't get more. Sure, you can't when you look at it that way, but when you realize that like maybe your rate's good, but maybe you're just investing an extra 50 hours into each job that you're not getting paid for. And so instead, you need to be getting that on the front end or collecting those business costs or reducing the amount of time that you're investing in every job because truly your customer did not pay for the cost of you to be in business. They only paid for the cost of you doing the job, of you swinging the hammer. They did not bear any of the cost of operating and owning a business and all of the time that you invest outside of swinging a hammer. And if you're not charging for that, like most of us aren't charging for that, then you are hurting yourself. You're hurting the industry. You're hurting everybody who comes after you. And I realized I did that for years. Um, and there's still things that I will concede, but it's few and far between at this point. If I do it, it's because it's something. It was an omission. It was an error. It's something that I just feel is the right thing to do. It's a decision at this point. It's not a requirement of me. So I'm electing to do it, and it's not to be competitive. It's because it's what I feel is the right thing to do given the situation. And it's not, I'm not applying that to an entire job where I'm losing tens of thousands of dollars or I'm being more competitive by tens of thousands of dollars. So that's just something for you guys and girls to think about. Again, this was sparked by the conversations I've been having with people who are setting up consulting calls and just something that I hear again and again during the conversations that we're having, um, that I realized it's like, yeah, you're doing what you love, but you can still make money doing what you love. Even if it's not about the money for you, you have to keep in the back of your mind that it's not just about you. It's about everyone else and it's about the entire industry and everyone else who's struggling to make money. Um, if you want to give something away for free, that's good, but think about the impact that has on everyone else where you're just lowering the bar. And I mean, I want to say that most people probably given the choice between, hey, I could make more money or I can make less money. Even if you're not into money and you're not into material objects, like financial security can do wonders for people emotionally, physically, mentally. Even if you're not into money, making and being compensated properly is a good thing, and it's going to help you, it's going to help your future, it's going to help your family, girlfriend, wife, friends, whatever, whoever it may be. It's going to help your employees, and it's also going to help every other contractor. excuse me, make what they deserve, earn what they deserve. It's just going to help elevate this industry as a whole. Um, so I hope that that's helpful and that can shed a little light on things. And if you're the type of person who's grinding it out and working 12, 16 hours a day, running around this for free, that for free, and wondering why, like it just seems like it's too much, like you can't catch a break and it's too much all the time, but you tell yourself you love it, or you truly do love it, like consider that the the love that you have for what you're doing may be hiding, or camouflaging some deficiencies within your business that you could probably capture and help yourself out a little bit more. Um, that's going to wrap it up for this week. If you guys have any ideas for topics that you want me to record a podcast on, shoot me an email, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. If you want to um, get on a consulting call with me, same thing, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. Please head to the website, moderncraftsman.co, and register for that email list. Again, not sure how long we're going to continue to give this away for free, but you will get the pre-construction agreement for absolutely free if you sign up for that email list. What else? Contractor Coalition Summit. I don't know the exact numbers right now, but I know that we are selling a fair amount of tickets to this. The next one is in Boston, September 27th through the 30th. Nick, myself, Morgan, Brad, really great weekend, amazing hotel, really great experience for all of you. It's similar to what I'm doing with the consulting. It's pretty low volume. It's first come, first serve. It's a very intimate event. The idea is to get you with a small group of peers that you have some established trust with, where you feel that you can be yourself and really be vulnerable to admit to shortcomings within your business, to areas that you need help, to places where you could focus on so that you can better your business, so that you can invest not only the money, but the time in your business to better it. That's going to be coupled with just a really great down to earth event, great food, amazing hotels. Boston's a really, really sweet city. So check that out. Contractors Coalition Summit.com, September 27th through the 30th. If you have any questions about that, you could shoot me an email, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. If I can't answer it, I will get you over to somebody who can. Yeah, that wraps it up. I hope you all have a good week. I will catch up with you next week. As always, thank you for following along, and don't forget to hop on the website and sign up for the mail link. All right, thanks guys. Catch you next week.